Yeah, we did. It was in practice in shorts today. It's one of the days we had to get in shorts. Saturday will be our last one. Of course, we'll scrimmage, try to let them have a little fun. We split the team up, I think I told you the other day, in the blue and the white jerseys, and had a little scrimmage with them, and this will be a kind of continuation of that. Everybody will play. It'll be live mostly, except the quarterback. Scotty's a little banged up. Fox, he's got a little hamstring, nothing big. And knowing him, he'll want to play a little bit, but he'll probably be in a touch jersey, and maybe Mike Hawkins. He'll want to go live, but I might have him in a touch jersey. The rest of them will be live. We'll blow quick whistles if it's a unimpeded blitz or something like that. But I think they're anxious to do that, have a little fun, and hopefully we'll have a nice crowd. The weather's supposed to be pretty warm, I believe. We got a festival, a lot of stuff going on, great concert going on afterwards. So Saturday's going to be a fun day for everybody, I think.
So, Rich, obviously last year, because of all the movement that was still to come, you probably didn't have an idea what your team was like. But typically, when spring is coming to an end, do you have a good feel of what's good, what's bad?
Yeah, and we had so many new guys again this year. We had the number one thing was obviously teach and develop our guys, but close behind that is evaluation, like who's going to be ready to play. And that evaluation piece has been really critical for us this spring, and I don't think I know we're not completely done with that. It's going to go through summer. It's going to go through, obviously, August camp. But we'll have a pretty good evaluation and then meet with our players next week, tell them where they're at, what they need to do. But I think we've got enough work. And Saturday's the final piece. It's not the end-all to be-all, but it'll be another piece of that evaluation, especially with the format, the way we got it set up.
As you do that evaluation to this point, so more to come, but do you go, we're pretty good here, or do you go, we're not good there?
Yeah, we got concerns here. Yeah. I think there's not a position where we're like, oh my gosh, because there's not another portal period to find somebody, we're in trouble, right? I don't catch that at all. Now we have some that are thinner than other positions. We got some positions that, man, we're going to be deeper than maybe we thought. And some guys have been, I don't want to say a pleasant surprise because we wouldn't have signed them if we thought they wouldn't be good, but some of them have maybe been a little bit better or quicker to pick up the stuff than before, and then some are taking a little longer. That's kind of typical, but that goes back to us as coaches, and we got to know that. And then I said there'll be 42 days of skill development in the summer. There'll be 30-some practices in August, and obviously we got game week, so we got a lot of time to get them ready.
I'm not sure you can answer this, but just for a number, how many Big 12 ready players do you think you need? And I don't know if you know how many you got right now.
At least 22. At least, 11 on both sides. If you're really good, you probably got 44. Yeah. I don't know if anybody has 44, and I don't. Money helps for sure, right? If you got enough dollars to buy, too deep, you can overcome injuries. I think, and last year I know there was a lot of things that we could have done better, but the thing that didn't help our progress, again, it's in the past, but it was the injuries. Quarterback, and then at running back, those really stopped progress I thought we could have made if guys had stayed healthy.
Do you sense a different value from an evaluation standpoint right now ending this spring compared to last year? Because last year you didn't get a full-on recruiting go. Can you just tell, this is just different, not to slight last year?
I think we could tell from a competitive standpoint, an athletic standpoint, maybe,
Talent, would that be fair?
Yeah, I think so. I think we had more money to spend this year than last year.
Right. I'm just mean all of that together. You can tell the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully but we still got to get more. I'm not saying anything that nobody don't know, but whatever your rev share number is not everybody's cap. If you know what I mean. It's way up there, and so we're constantly working on that. And the good thing is I got administration that understands that. I think I've got a fan base that understands that, and I've got a coaching staff that understands that, and then I understand that. I mean, I got to go help, and we got to go get, raise some money and get some help our guys get some NIL deals going, and because I like the fact that if if a guy does really well here, we're going to keep him. We can keep him. That's what first goal. I want the guys to do really well, and then they love it here. They love the school. They love the town, and they love playing football at West Virginia. And so they're not going to leave to get double the pay or something like that. So we've got to make sure we're in a place to do that.
Did you get some special teams in today? I know you said
Yeah, we did more than we did. I mean, obviously we did the field goal and punt, and we did punt block. We've been doing that quite a bit, but we kind of introduced a kickoff and kickoff return. I wanted to kind of see our kickers, and then I wanted to see some guys that maybe had a natural feel. We didn't get into the nuts and bolts of all the techniques. I just want to see 11 guys run down, 11 guys try to block. And so we got a little bit of a competitive, what you could do in shorts with those two units today.
How do you feel about your kickers?
You got good legs. It's been really good competition. Peter's been banged up with the foot, so he's been out. But the other guys, I thought, kicked pretty well today, and there was a little bit of wind. Thought we punted pretty well today, so I think they've made progress. Our special teams coaches have done a good job with them, and it'll be some open com. There's not like, this guy's guaranteed to be the one field goal guy or nothing. There's some good competition going on there.
You've knocked out 14 spring practices, and like you said, you've evaluated a lot here. If you're heading into this, scrimmage on Saturday, what's one big thing you want to see from this team to close out the spring? Last time you could see them.
Well, I wanted to hopefully not have mental mistakes. That's probably going to happen a little bit. But I just want to see a certain level of competitiveness that we kind of stress, whether you want to call it hard edge or whatever you want to call it, that everybody's playing hard, everybody's competing, nobody's loafing, and they're enjoying playing the game in front of a good crowd. And I know that's one reason why we did blue-white, to try to make it some kind of competitive situation. So we'll see. When we had the scrimmage the first time with them, I was pleased with it because the intensity was what I thought it should be. Certainly it should be that way Saturday.
Are there any positions or position groups that you're particularly looking to see something from, like
All of them.
in particular?
Every one of them. I don't sit back here and I'm not quarterback. I'm watching every guy on every play on offense, every play on defense. I'll scrutinize myself. I will scrutinize every position. Like sometimes probably to my defensive coaches, somebody remind them, they did play defensive back, yeah, long time ago, a century ago, right? But I'm not being trying to avoid the question, but it truly is. I'll scrutinize. Scrimmages are more scrutinized than just regular practice. So in that regard, I'll watch it probably 5 times before next week.
And you get past the evaluations with your players and your coaches. Will you go back and look at the 15 practices, and will you try to go through that, or how will you go about it?
We'll make a cut up, like we'll make an individual cut up for each guy. In other words, it'll be plays throughout the competitive live situations, and so they'll have a player cut up so the coach can go over with him over the next couple months. Here are some things that you did well. Here are some things that maybe you need to work on, and so the technology nowadays, I'm hoping the players will want to do that themselves, but the coaches will want to do that with the players, and sometimes they'll do that with their meetings. They'll have a cut up with them and show them some stuff. That I don't watch the film with them as much, but I will. We'll make some cutouts out of our scrimmages, our live situations, and then use it throughout the summer when we meet with our players.
And obviously, all that stuff's charted too, so you have all of the data there, what drops, all of that stuff, what happens in practice.
Yeah, but I just
Don't-
you kind of like we meet all the time, and the depth chart is ever flowing. It's not nearly set in stone right now, and so our constant. I think you have to live in a constant state of competition. That's where I don't know if that's. I'm sure everybody tries to do that, but are they? If a guy doesn't love to compete, I don't want him in the building. I don't want him cleaning our rooms. I don't want him cooking our food. I don't want him taping our ankles. I don't want him in the weight room. I don't want them anything. If you're not competing as hard as you can, you're not allowed in our building. You know, if you're not, Mike and Mike don't want to be the best media representative. They won like 3 awards, you know, and I saw that the other day. But if they didn't want to win that and they don't care, then they can't come in the building.
You call plays for both sides, both offenses, or you gonna let Travis call it?
Yeah, that's good. Travis and Rhett called it in the first blue-white scrimmage the other day, which was fun for me to kind of sit back and watch. I was like, you know, kicking myself, like trying. Like, hey, let them have fun. And so I think Saturday will be a little bit of a mix. You know, they'll play, you know, Rhett will call some, Travis will call some, I'll call some, I'll interject a little bit. And then we probably will have, you know, the overtime or the 2-point plays go in the stands again. Like last year, there were some really good play calls. There was one that we all booed because it was not a very good call down there. And so we have a couple of the fans. And then we had a delay game penalty too. That's really got to get a loud boo because they're so late they couldn't decide which play to pick, and then we had a little delay game, so we had to get on them a little bit. So we might have a little fun with that.
Rich, you talked about the athleticism on defense, all throughout the spring. Is there one spot, one position where that's most noticeable?
Well, I think we're more athletic at D end. I think we're deeper there. I think we had some pretty decent athletes last year, but because of injuries or, you know, waiting on eligibility, whatever case may be, we're a lot more competitive now with both of our defensive ends, I think, and that's a spot that we got to have some depth with, and it looks like we're going to have a little more depth and a little more competition there.
There's been a lot made of the size of the lines being bigger than last year, but how do you feel about how they've been performing?
Yeah, I don't know if we're that much bigger. I think, you know, maybe on defense we're a little bit bigger up front. On offense, you know, we might be a tad bigger, but not over. I don't notice that much. But
You're big enough to compete in
yeah, I think we're big enough. I think, you know, Coach Trick has had a good plan. We're mixing a lot of guys are playing left guard and right guard, right tackle, left tackle, moving around a little bit. So you know, you want to create a depth of 8. You know, have, you know, the 5 stars, a backup guard, backup center, backup tackle. But I think we could have a depth chart of 10 or 11. And that's a great thing if we can do that. So that's been I don't want to say a pleasant surprise, but a goal for us is to have a 10 or 11 deep kind of offensive line that we feel good about, and we're getting closer to that.
A lot of schools in the last 2 years shifted away from the traditional spring game format, the old school one. Some of them came back this year. Some of them are going further away from it. You guys almost are in the middle. What went behind, like, wanting to do the spring festival format where you're doing these fan activities, also doing a bit of scrimmaging, like just kind of combining?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. One, we want folks to come here. I mean, we got great fans, but we want folks to come here and buy season tickets and have a great time and have a little bit of feel if they've never been to a game. Have a little bit of feel what it's all about. I think the atmosphere of it, and we got great fans, but we want more, and so that's part of that deal. And then the scrimmage part of it, we'll probably go more live than I would traditionally because we have so many new players. If we had like a seasoned team of, you know, 18 starters coming back, whatever, I probably would have those guys not take a lot of reps, so we wouldn't go as long in the scrimmage. But because I'm still evaluating, we're still trying to figure out who's what and where. It'll be a little bit more competitive than maybe we would traditionally done in the past.
Will the scrimmaging this year be kind of similar to last year's, or more of a traditional format that you see in spring games? Like, what is your approach going to be?
Well, a little bit of it now. We're going to have a stage on one end of the end zone, and so we're going to just be able to go one way. So we're going to go away from the facility and go that way. So you can't. I was going to play it just like a game, just go both ways, but we got the stage there, so we're going to have to just go one way toward the big scoreboard. And I've done that once in my career at Jack State. We played at North Alabama in a baseball stadium, and it was kind of a neat setup, but it was like you went one way, so it was kind of screwy on a punt situation. But we won, and we had actually was a pretty neat atmosphere. So you know, so we won't be returning kicks, and we'll punt, but the special teams won't be live. or anything like that. But the scrimmaging part should be intense, with the exception of the 2 quarterbacks.
Any injuries of note that'll keep people out Saturday?
No, just the ones that have been. I don't know, like who's.
Boss was.
Voss is banged up. Ashton Woods been banged up. He's out. Emery Snyder, freshman, he'd been rehabbing. But we've got a few guys banged up here and there, but it should be most of the roster that's here playing. All right.